Noob School. Today we're at podcast, I think it's 145 or so, right around, it's 140 something. But I've got a relatively new friend, Monica Seitz. Welcome, Monica.
Thank you.
So glad you're here. Monica, I work with a lot of different young people, training, sales training mostly. And ran across Monica. She's a senior at Furman, and she majored in business and marketing and wants to go into sales. And we not only working with her with sales training, but also she ended up interning for us, which has been great. And I thought her story was so interesting, what she's doing and kind of how she decided to do what she's doing, that it might be helpful for other people that are in college, starting to think about what they might want to do, to consider her path, which was just heavy with, the right courses, leadership on campus, internships, multiple internships. She's got 2 right now. And then a real specific target for something that she wanted to do afterwards. And so we'll get into all that today, but I thought it was very impressive, and you should share that with them. So congratulations on your plan.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's start with this. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a little town in Kentucky. I always say I'm from Lexington, but I'm in a little county called Woodford County. Okay. I grew up on a horse farm, so my family is really involved with the racing business with thoroughbreds.
Neat.
Yeah.
Cool. And did they make you work on the farm?
Yes, definitely. So I guess not too hard at times. We all grew up riding horses, and we're always helping take care of various animals we had. Mm-hmm. And then I actually started, I guess my first work experience, funny enough, would have been sales, because I would go out with my dad to the horse sales. Uh-huh. And when I was really young and couldn't, kind of wasn't big enough to lead, the sprightly young thoroughbreds, mm-hmm. I would do the little cards for people that came, and they'd write what horse they wanted to see, and I'd help put it into the system, or when I was really little, help clean up.
Cool.
And then as I got older, I'd actually show the horses at the horse sales.
Nice. So you lead them around?
Lead them around, and you show them in front of the people interested in. Uh-huh. They look at their conformation and their pedigree, and if they want to buy them.
Well, that's amazing. What's a good horse sell for?
It can go up into the millions.
Really?
So, yeah, it depends. But you think a good horse, and then sometimes all the time, especially recently, we're seeing horses that sold for $1,000 when they were young go up and win the Derby. So it just depends, but they'll go up into the millions easily.
Well, so that's interesting. I think one of the traits that we see in people that become really successful in sales and business is that they worked, when they were younger. Oddly enough, I didn't have to work too much. I played basketball a lot, but I didn't do much work. But a lot of the people that we've hired over the years, had the paper routes and the landscaping services and the farm. I guess you get the habit of working. Mm-hmm. So, did you ever wish you didn't have to work on the farm?
No. Well, I'm sure when I was younger, getting dirty, or even having my own riding horse, I'd be like, goodness, this is just so much work. Right. But I think it really gave me so many tools and shaped me into a lot of the person I am. And half the time it was fun. Yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to live on a farm when they're younger? So it was great. Yeah.
A lot of people don't want to go, but I mean, I think I would. I think that would be pretty cool. And so while you were in high school, you were doing the horse showing, racing, horse racing. You're showing, what do you call that?
Yeah, for me competing personally, horse showing.
Showing, okay. Yeah. You'd ride the horse and jump over things? Okay.
Yes.
Did you ever have any spills?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I mean, and that is the worst kind of, not failure, but it's so embarrassing when it doesn't hurt usually. I mean, it can be dangerous, but the hard thing about showing is you get out there, you, again, do all that work, you get your horse ready, you've put all this time into practicing for this one event, and if you get up and they refuse, which we had a lot of project horses too, because we weren't spending, thousands and thousands of dollars on our horses, and my parents liked for us to, have some projects to work with. So I had my fair share of work with horses, and sometimes they would just want to stop at a fence, whether it was you or them. And sometimes you were going over and sometimes you weren't. But yeah, it just was sometimes really unfortunate to be on there. And once you're off, you're eliminated. So it was frustrating
You gotta walk
at times.
off.
Yeah, you got to just take your horse. Sometimes you're hurt. It can be super dangerous, but it was okay. I learned a lot from those things. And you just hope that the times that happen is very minuscule.
Right, right. And you ran track,
Yes.
right, for your high school team?
Yeah, so I rode up until my junior year of high school, and all through high school I was doing track as well. As COVID came, and balancing that with track, I realized I could do a lot better when I was running rather than riding a horse, because it was just me competing against other people, and so I ended up transitioning to track more and finished out college with that, high school with that.
Yeah. And so you finished high school. Tell us how you picked Furman.
Yeah, so I'll talk about my dad, I feel like, a few times, because he's just raised us a lot. He's come from a bigger family. He has a lot of good values, and he's promoted a lot of ideas into his kids. So one of those things is, he said when we go to college that he encourages out of state. And then once we're in college, he encourages studying abroad, which is both what he did. He went on to be a Marine and lots of other things. But so when I was looking at colleges, it was out of state. And it was also during COVID again, that junior year, when we're starting to look at colleges.
Yeah.
So it made it a little tougher, the out-of-state search.
Yeah.
A lot of these schools, instead of, finding some places I was interested in and then you go visit them and then you apply, it was like I was just applying to schools that I found were cool, and then maybe we would see them when tours opened back up. So he went to school in Marquette, and he really liked the Midwest, so I applied to a bunch of random schools kind of around Kentucky. And then our family would always vacation in South Carolina, so I really liked that state, and it was not too far away from Kentucky.
Yeah.
So I applied a lot of schools through here, but I ended up applying to over 13 schools just out of state, and then we ended up visiting second semester, senior year, whatever, or first and second semester, whatever I could see.
Yeah.
And then as I would visit every school, I realized I definitely liked the South more than I liked some of the northern cities. I love the greenery. I love just more space and the Southern culture. So that eliminated most of my list that I had applied to once I went in person and experienced the school.
Yeah.
And so a lot of, South Carolina schools, North Carolina was my list. And then I actually thought I wanted to go to Clemson, and ended up getting waitlisted and then rejected from them. And Furman was also a really close number second, and ended up getting a lot of scholarship from them. So it was an easy answer. I ended up just going to Furman.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you did. It's amazing, though. I mean, Clemson historically has not been near as hard to get into as Furman.
Yeah, it's been tougher. The big state schools, out of state, just gets tougher every year, I've noticed. But at the same time, I'm so grateful that it happened, because I've been a tour guide at Furman during my time here, and we always give our testament as to why we chose the school or why we stayed. And a big thing I would say at the end is, I wasn't sure about the smaller school size in the South, because you either have really big schools or a little more on the smaller side. And I have never regretted going here, because of the things that I've done at Furman that I never would have done at a bigger school like Clemson have been awesome.
Two good choices. That's the thing about life I didn't understand until I was much older, is sometimes you have three things to choose from, and all of them are good.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's no big deal. This one's good, this one's good, this one's good. So that's good. And then while you were there, you studied business. Were there any sales classes?
So not entirely.
Okay.
Up until a few years ago, they just had general business administration majors. So it was just a general track until they kind of came out with a few more narrow tracks. And the closest thing to more sales or management was the marketing track. And so that's what I've been on. And since Furman is a liberal arts school and has kind of broad majors with classes you can take specific to what you want to do, there's no sales classes, but they have things like strategic communication, which is more of a comm class, or business management and things like that, which have helped me in that sector. So
how many people will graduate here in a couple of weeks?
Ooh, well, there's about 2,600 students, so it's more of a smaller school. So maybe 600.
600?
Yeah.
And do you have any idea how many will go into sales?
No idea, but I don't think it's a large amount, just because at our school it's just not, we don't have a sales club, which we're interested in maybe starting after I'm gone. Ran out of time here, but they don't have a lot of more sales or entrepreneurship or innovation or management programs within Furman.
It's so interesting because you have the Hill Institute there, which is all about entrepreneurship, and you're going to need some selling if you're going to be starting any business. I wonder why, because you interned there, right?
Yes, with the Hill Institute.
What was that like?
It was good. So it was, when I did it 2 summers ago, it was like the guinea pig program. They had never done the program before. And it was 3 weeks of like business and innovation classes and then 7 weeks of consulting with startup companies. So it was kind of salesy in a way, but it was a little more innovation strategy, like fostering the development of a company. And it was very good. I learned a lot, to be honest, like going from the small stage companies and them relying on us who were, like 18, 19-year-old kids, helping them start up their company. And I feel like there was a lot of sales or, soft skills in business that we learned. I wouldn't say, it was sales particularly, but I learned a lot from that experience, just, going from the ground up with the companies.
Yeah. The Hill Institute, they do a good job with entrepreneurs, right?
Yes, they do.
Yeah. That's great. We have a lot of that going on in Greenville. It's great. So how did you know what the importance of doing multiple internships for businesses while you were in school?
I think it came a lot from, we were talking about in my childhood, I was always working. And I think even into high school, I'd work for my dad like at the sales on the weekends, but when we were younger, he, once we hit 15, 16, it was like, if you want stuff, you're going to need to buy it on your own. So, and he always thought, working alongside of things was the greatest way that you would just learn a lot of skills. And so again, when COVID kind of started when I was 16, so like a sophomore in high school, I ended up working for like a deli and grill, and so was doing we had all different roles there. So part of us, we would do register, we'd even make sandwiches, we would deliver food, we'd help like in the kitchen, all different types of roles. And I learned so much. And then I feel like I always kind of stayed in food service, even into the end of my high school career and into college. It just worked out like that. So I transitioned to later in high school becoming a server. I did some more restaurant work even into college. And then as I kind of went to internship experience, I've told you before, I've just always like treated and valued work different than school. And I think school is so great and it's taught me so much, but I've just learned me as a person that I do like learning and education, but I just love getting to use it when it feels like it's in a real world sense. And I feel like I've grown the most and use the best of my abilities and tried my hardest when I'm in more of a workspace. And so as I went into college, I realized that the classroom could teach me so much and teachers could teach me so much, but what I wanted to do, more sales or management or business related things, weren't going to be quite learned in the classroom, and I had to try it out. So it just transitioned to even more internship experience. And
it's smart. It's rare, but very smart. I think it probably comes partly from the experience on the farm, just kind of always expect to be working.
Yeah.
The horse has to be taken care of on the weekends too, right? It's not like a weekday job.
Yeah.
7 days a week. Okay, so you had an internship at Hill Institute. Where else have you had them?
So I guess not as quite as internship, but my freshman year, just going in was more of like a work experience, because half of the time it'd be like half internship, but also once again, if I need to support myself, and my parents have always fostered that in me. So half of it's like making money too, but learning as well as I do it. So my freshman year, as well as that internship was later on. But my second semester, I was talking to people about being a tour guide and looked up to a lot of those people, and ended up just applying and training to do that. And so I've been an admissions ambassador for Furman all my 4 years. Have just stepped back just this semester. But I learned so much about, honestly, sales and hospitality and promoting a school in my own experience from being an ambassador at Furman. And we've done so many different networking events with students. We follow up with them. It very is heavily sales related. And I think that influenced a lot of my business related just aspirations and my personality, and has just supported that a lot. And then along with admissions, I ended up taking another route too, and 2 years ago, did more of a social media internship with them along with being a tour guide. So that was promoting the school through more of digital platforms. You do takeovers, you write blogs, you strategize how to promote the school virtually. So that's been cool too. And then last summer, I ended up interning with a big tech company, TD Synnex.
Yeah.
Which is over on Pelham Road here
Yeah.
in Greenville.
Sure.
And I found them. I just knew a lot of some Furman graduates who had worked with them. I knew I wanted to do after working with the Hill Institute, after doing the Furman stuff, realized I like the people side of business a lot, and wanted to get maybe some sales or business development experience. And just heard the company was very good with their internships and applied to them, and ended up doing kind of business development internship with them, and did 2 campaigns for just some tech vendors that they used.
Okay.
And that was another good experience. And now we're here.
Yeah, now we're here. That's right. Well, that's fantastic. Again, I think for young people watching, or parents with young people getting ready to go to college, this is a path that is much, the work part, I would say, is more important than the school part. If you're thinking about going into sales or business, there aren't any undergrad programs out there. They're going to teach you as much as you're going to learn working for, a company, an entrepreneurial company, or working in sales. Like some of the Citadel guys that I know, they go to Memphis every year and work for this pest control company. They go door to door all summer long working on straight commission.
Wow.
Like, you're going to learn a lot about sales.
Yes.
I mean, how to very quickly, bond with the other person.
Yeah.
Real quick, because otherwise they're going to say, get out of here. So anyway, all that stuff's important. I highly recommend it, and I think it's worked real well for you. So you're going to do great, I'm sure of it, in business. Unfortunately, you don't want to do it here. You want to do it somewhere else, apparently. So you have decided that you want your first sales job to be where?
I've decided I want my first sales job to be in Australia.
Australia. Okay. You couldn't get any further away.
Couldn't get any further.
All right. And so tell us why you picked that country.
So another experience, like I said, my dad told us the B part of what we had to do in college was to study abroad, like he had done. He went to Italy during his experience and said it was life-changing, and so he encouraged us to do the same. When I was trying to pick a place to study abroad, for some reason, I don't know what, I think it was through high school and college, and looking back on pictures, it's always been a thing. In the back of my mind, I've always looked at the country of Australia and wanted to live there, wanted to visit. It's too far to do so on a regular day, but I've just always been kind of enamored with the country. And so when I wanted to study abroad, my first ask of him was like, oh, what about Australia? And he had a good answer to this. He turned it down, but for good reason, is because he, again, had studied in Europe and Italy. And he was like, there's so many more countries in Europe to travel to. You'll learn a lot. I've not a double major. I'm not a Spanish major, but I've worked on my Spanish additionally in college and taken extra classes along with the prerequisites. And so he's like, I think you should work on your language a little bit more and you'd be able to travel a lot. And he was right. I studied abroad in Barcelona last spring and had an incredible time. I went by myself. So I knew I wanted to take some business classes and a little bit of Spanish, and they just didn't offer that through Furman. So they had used this program before during COVID for other college students. And so I just signed up to do it. I ended up going by myself, and I met so many people from other schools, and I had great classes, got to travel amazing places with people, came back pretty broke, but it was an amazing experience, and I feel like I just grew so much as a person. So when coming back, I just was realizing more with my internships what I wanted to do career-wise, and then I just had this nagging pull of that I had no desire to, at least now, to stay in the States after I graduated. I had grown so much, and I feel like meeting all these new people and new experiences, it was the one time to try it again. And so it started out as a joke, the Australia thing. When thinking about places to go, it was just like, what else? I probably should, although I'm working on the Spanish, I probably should go somewhere that I can speak a little English. Yeah, it started out kind of as a joke. I love the culture. I love the area. I started doing more research and realized they had great visa and work opportunities for people my age, especially. And then the joke kind of turned into a real thing. And I met you and met some contacts with you in Australia, started talking to other people, and now I'm in the works of making it a real thing.
Good. Well, I'm glad. I'm proud of you. I think it's great. Get out there and do something different. And I told you before, and this goes for anyone listening, thinking about getting a job overseas. when we were hiring a lot of people at our company, if somebody came to us and said, "I'm from France, but I'd like to work for you in America," I would work real hard to try to get them because I wanted to sell in France one day, and I could send this person back. And so we did that in several countries where we find people that came here to the States. They're from a certain area. We'd bring them in for a few years, send them back home as our person. Also, in Australia, they should be interested in knowing what's going on in America. What's the American market like, and who could you introduce them to? Because many of them just feel like they're kind of handcuffed. You know, they don't quite know how to break into this market. So it should be a hot commodity over there.
I hope so.
Yeah. And why did you choose? I mean, we've talked a lot and worked together, and we've also done psychological profile testing on you. And you could go into marketing, go into sales, you go into management. There's a lot of things you could do. Why did you choose sales?
So I think you helped some with the sales for sure.
Did I sell you? Sell
You
you on
sold me
sales?
on the sales.
Okay.
So you're doing your job perfectly. But I think even before that a little bit, even when looking at internships for the summer, I think, like I said, with some of the admission stuff, some of my other work experience, it started with, okay, I like business, but I like the people side of business. I don't, I'm not the big data person. I'm not the big, even though I did the social media internship, I'm not a big digital person. Just always growing up, going out to, the horse sales with my dad, or being a server at a restaurant, it was always the people side. And then I'm going to promote a school. It's me talking to people.
Yeah.
So I realized that I just needed to stay in that sector. And so there's a few, like you said, avenues you can go. Marketing is kind of people facing, but it can be very heavily digital. And then business development is what I kind of did this summer, which I enjoyed a lot. And then there's sales, which is everybody's a little bit unfamiliar with. It's in everything, but cold sales is something that you just got to work at. So although the route was a little uncomfortable for me, I think talking to you and realizing, with me wanting to tap into international, with me wanting to tap into some of these health and healthcare sectors, which is where my industry interests are, it's going to be a little harder not harder, but slightly harder with me coming out as an undergrad. Like you said in your book, like you've said to me, getting into a lot of that is starting with sales, and it's going to be in everything. And I think with my personality, already liking it, I love meeting new people every day. I love new experiences. I love being on my feet, working to achieve something. And I think that's all in sales.
Yeah.
And so that's why I wanted
Plus,
to.
you can just, you can make, you like to make money.
Yeah.
You can make a lot of money.
This is true.
You know, if you go into marketing, you're kind of stymied. You're going to make this much money, then this much money, then this much money. And your target, as I recall, is medical, right? Some medical related?
Yeah, I've grown up obviously with the track, and just kind of growing up in general. Health and wellness itself has been a big part of me. I wasn't a health sciences major just because I liked the business too much, but I always said if I could have done both, I would have.
Yeah.
But so I thought maybe working for more of a health or fitness related company, which is what I'm currently doing. I'm doing sales with a company in Greenville called Iron Tribe Fitness. And that has been a great experience to just really learn sales from that angle. But I have some family that are involved in more of the healthcare sector. So when looking into like health related sales, a lot of it started pointing to more medical device, which I never thought I would do anything medical just because I was so business minded. But when I actually got to shadow my uncle, who is a doctor, operates on people every day, is very involved in spine in Florida. He was like, why don't you just come shadow me in the OR, and you can meet some of the medical device reps that I work with every day and see how you like it. Just come. And so why would I not do that? So I came in. It's an experience I had never tried before, into the office, seeing them all suit up, and I got to see the reps that actually, travel to every office. They basically know more about the device and could quite literally put it into the patient and would know more than the doctor itself because they've done it thousands of times, walking them through it, and they still have that sales aspect. So actually getting to hands-on see the effect that I'm having in somebody and help change their lives without having, more of a doctor background seemed pretty incredible. So that, especially internationally too, with how strong America is in healthcare in Australia and how translated it could be internationally, it was like, why not try this cool sector? So
that's cool. And I know you have some jobs already that you'll be doing when you're in Australia, as you line up this job. And we've talked about this too, and this is again for the audience, but you've got a bunch of people you're talking to over there, and you already have work. You have work that you're doing, but when you show up over there, everything's going to change because when they hear from people in the States all the time, it's just so far away. Mm-hmm. Most people don't show up, right?
Yeah.
They will. I think you'll get a job with what you want pretty quickly once you get there. And medical devices is great. I think you talked to our friend Jenny Shaw.
I did, yes.
So Jenny's a good role model too. I mean, she started in tech sales. She went to Furman, athlete. Started in tech sales, did very well, and got into medical. And now she's VP of sales at a good company. So, she's a good one to stay in touch with over there, for sure. And you're targeting going like midsummer?
Yeah, kind of mid and summer. The seasons are opposite over there, and I think it's the same for kind of the job market too.
Yeah.
So I think it'll work perfectly with finishing up, graduating at Furman, taking a few months to definitely sort out what I'm doing and the travel and coordinating, kind of migrating over there in a way, and then hopefully going kind of, end of July to September period.
So when you travel to Australia, I suggest you go through Europe. You stop in Barcelona for a little while, see your old friends. And if we take America out of play and Australia out of play, what's your next favorite country?
Well, of course, Spain.
Okay, all right.
I'm very biased.
Okay.
In the right way. Barcelona's the best, but Italy is close second.
Okay. And on this first job here in Australia, let's say it's like 3 years from now. What do you hope to have gotten out of that first job?
I really think that, especially for me, who can only we figured it out when it came to touring schools, when it came to work experience. I only realized, how good I was at something or how good of a fit something was until I tried it out. So I really think that figuring out, because I still haven't, although I've had some sales experience and realized sales might be a good route or transition more into business development or maybe work up to management is my goal. I really want to figure out if those sectors feel right for me, which is why I hope to try to get into that industry, even though it's a little tough. But within that 3 years, try to get into it, to try it out, see what's the best fit, what feels right, aligns with my passions. And then also internationally, while I always say while I can do it, I feel like graduating, the time to do it is now. So many people say that, like you said, they're going to go, and then you just get stuck working here and never do it. So I think the biggest thing for me is doing it and not regretting, not being able to regret not going, experiencing it. And I know I'm going to meet so many people and learn a lot about myself, especially internationally. So that's the biggest takeaway. Yeah,
that's great. And you never know what bonus you might get on top of that. But I think all those things, just going will be a big win for you. What did you learn from your Iron Tribe internship?
I've learned a lot, especially this internship too. And I feel like I'm so glad to be looking into sales and, like you said, what piqued your interest, because it's taught me so much just about businesses as a whole, because selling is involved in everything. But specifically with Iron Tribe, I feel like fitness sales is a very niche sector when it comes to selling. So with them, I've learned a lot about different avenues to tap into. They kind of gave me freedom to try different strategies and my own ideas. I came in kind of expecting them to sometimes check on every idea I had, and my manager would be like, just go for it. He wanted me to have basically more confidence and just go for the strategies I had. And for me, I kind of, which we've realized is sometimes not a beneficial mentality, but going into things and just being confident in the things you bring to the table. I tried to tap into that a little bit more. And so, I've tried so many different things, whether it's a lot of more social media outreach with the fitness sales, or doing kind of email outs, or targeting big groups of people, hosting like events in downtown. Just like, it's very different sales than you would think, for other companies. Very different messaging, and just how to like really find the right people and then communicate right to them, because not everybody wants fitness, but they want, like, they call it the dream vacation. They want that end goal. So kind of learning how to communicate that has been very interesting, and how every person has a different way that they want to be communicated to, especially with fitness.
And you basically helped me build the Sterling Sales Coaching Group. And since you took over, we have added a lot of process to what we do marketing-wise, and we've also added customers. So it's been successful. Did you learn anything in particular working with our group?
Yeah. I mean, I've learned a lot too about, I guess, more organization when it comes to yours. Like you said, this has been a little different because I know you have a lot of the knowledge when it comes to actual sales training that I've been able to learn from. But learning how, I mean, kind of crash course walking through your process of training sales teams has been super interesting, and how you got to get to the foundation of what is the ideal sales profile, what builds the team, who are we currently working with, and is there gaps? Do we need to hire before we start training? And like seeking the source first and evaluating and then moving forward has been super interesting rather than just going straight into training. Just kind of like the selling for the fitness industry. It's kind of like you got to know who you're working with and the person you're talking with before you just go into the pitch. Right. And so that's been super cool. And then just like, learning how to, again, find the right leads. And so when we're looking to sell Sterling Sales to other companies, what kind of company is looking for us and how do we communicate what we can bring them?
Right. It's interesting you say that, because that is something that surprises almost every, owner that hires us on, is they kind of think, John's going to come in and train our sales team and make them better. Right. And we could do that. But there might be something we need to do to the hiring profile of who we're looking for, or to the comp plan, or to how we organize the team, who's doing what territory, to the pricing, that will affect the number far greater than me teaching them how to negotiate or whatever the thing is. So, but you did a great job this summer, and I hope you can keep giving us some time until you tell us to, pound sand.
No, never.
Okay. Let me cover a few more things and then we'll finish up here. Let's talk about social media for a second. If you were looking to one social media platform to find out, what's the best way to find my sales job coming out of Furman, what would you go to first?
Well, how social are we looking? Are you wanting me, because we talk a lot about AI, but I don't know how social that might be.
We can call that social. So you're saying you would go to ChatGPT or Grok or one of those and ask that question.
Well, sometimes, at least for me, I know for you, sometimes we can have a lot of thoughts and things and routes we want to pursue, and especially for industries that I don't exactly know, like pursuing sales in Australia. I feel like, Grok and AI and the exploration of those has helped me kind of navigate all my thoughts into one specific question and realize it, or figure out how to search for the exact right thing I'm looking for. Because if I were to just type in stuff like that in Google, sometimes it just takes you different places. But I've just learned a lot from when it comes to blogs or people writing about their own experiences, or even sometimes on Instagram or TikTok, people do reviews of or day in the lives of their career. So I've kind of tapped into all of it. I feel like different newsletters that I'm a part of, Facebook groups. You even have some websites, nomads.com, where you can kind of learn about people's experiences. I think it's trying it all out a little bit, but knowing what you want at the end of the day, which is what I feel like AI has helped me a little bit, is kind of throwing in what my thoughts are and what I want, and them helping me figure out what I want to.
Yeah. It's an amazing tool. I'm happy that we have it and we can learn from it, because it'll get you the answer pretty quickly.
Yeah.
All right, and then really important question: what's your favorite book?
My favorite book. I've been reading a really good one these days. It's called Sales for Noobs.
Whoa. We happen to have a copy right here.
Wow.
That is a good salesperson there. All right, Sales for Noobs. Good answer. All right, favorite band?
Oh, no, you can't do that to me. Well, I have a pretty embarrassing favorite band that I've told you.
Okay.
I say embarrassing. It's not embarrassing to me, but I've been teased about it before because it's apparently popular amongst 12-year-olds and the younger generation. But it's a band called AJR, and it's three brothers, and they're known for more pop-related music.
Okay. Well, I've tried to listen to it.
It's an interesting taste, but
acquired taste.
Yeah, the music taste is all across the board, though. All kinds.
And favorite word?
Favorite word? Oh my goodness. Can't say Australia.
Sure you can.
Probably, I don't know. We've talked a lot about like growth. I think that's one of my favorite words right now because that's the theme.
Yeah.
It's a little cheesy, but it's
Growth.
the
No,
theme
that's fine.
of right
Growth
now.
is a great word. Growth is a great word. Adventure is another good word for
Adventure, yeah.
you. Growth adventure. 2 words.
Yeah.
And then what advice would you give to other folks that we haven't covered already that are going into college and starting to think about what they want to do when they get out?
Yeah. I feel like, especially this year, and I think doing a lot of not soul searching, but I mean, not even inherently trying, just kind of figuring out a lot about myself with the international travel, some of the internship experience, meeting you and talking a lot about like, okay, well, this is who I am as a person. What is your personality? What do you feel like you're in, like your deepest self in, and you feel like you're in the right place in, and searching for that rather than like what a lot of other people might be telling you to do, or in higher education, what people might be telling you to do, which again is a little bit of a cliche thing to say for some people like us.
Yeah.
But I feel like, and a lot of people will say this, but it's very true, especially in your college years and getting out of college, is really staying, true to yourself and finding what fuels you as a person, what like drives you, what you're passionate about. And that's obviously, again, cliche and can be very simple.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't know what that might be. And I feel like in the beginning of college, I had personality traits and things I liked. But when it came to like work, I was like, well, nobody really is passionate about what they want to work. I feel like everybody, if they could choose, wouldn't work, you know, or find other things to fill up their time. But trying to really bridge that and go from like, what do you like and what makes you as a person, and how can you involve that in your work? And for me, it's been a lot of this stuff with more of the innovation with the sales, bridging it with more like health related things that I'm actually passionate about. For me, and I've noticed this from other people, like I really like to be enthusiastic about things when I'm talking about them. I love it to kind of light up like my eyes and my life. And so finding ways that I can find that adventure and that enthusiasm, and that's what makes me. I've realized that trying to stay in one place or keep kept up in a box or let other people who I don't find, who maybe I don't want to be myself telling me what to do is just not what is meant for me.
Right.
So that's what I would recommend definitely for people, is just really trying to soul search, try out things that you think you might like,
Right.
and you're going to try out things that you won't like, and it's going to help you even more just kind of create that path that's meant for you.
Well, that's perfect. I think I write about that in here somewhere. If not, we talk about it a lot. But, the cop out to that would be someone who says, well, I just don't know what I want to do, right? So I'm going to go to the bar and drink beer, and pretty soon, you're 30 and you still don't know who you are, what you want to do, but you're doing something.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of stuck, and you just kind of ride it out, right? I mean, that happens. And so if someone doesn't know what it is, what they want to do, who they are, all that kind of stuff, that's your job. If you want to have a growth life, an adventurous life, that's your job, is to figure it out, talking to people, interning, taking tests, trying different things. If you figured out, I want to do an adventure, I want to do medical, I want to do sales, right? So you got 3 big things checked off, and then see how that goes, and then change again.
Yeah.
If you want to.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of you. You're going to be off to a great start, and glad you're able to intern.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Thanks, Monica.
Yeah.
All right.